It looks like Google might be pulling this whole thing off. And I know it's way early to tell, but here's the kind of the reason why. If you've been watching any of the people that are talking about AI ad nauseum, they're going into all the information. They're talking about the background, and they're also talking about the way that these different companies are laid out. You know that Microsoft is with it with OpenAI, right? They're kind of not the same. They're very different, but they have investments in each other. Google, kind of their own deal. They have the entire stack now. So they have at the very bottom, they have the actual inference. They have the compute. They have their own data chips. They have their own architecture as far as the data centers. And the chips were probably one of the most important ads. In fact, they trained their most recent model on entirely their chips, and their chips are available for lease. And Anthropic has kind of jumped on that bandwagon and started to use those to train their models. But if you look at, they also have the apps done too, so they have the entire thing. So they don't need to go anywhere but inside Google to build out these models. So that Gemini came out with their Model 3, and everybody was completely just flabbergasted at its performance. And even there's some rumors about OpenAI code red and a little bit panicked and this and that. Truth be told, though, if you look at it, they trained an entire model off of their new chip architecture. And OpenAI hasn't had a new retraining of a model, according to some of the people, before until they got to ChatGPT 4.0. So they haven't actually done a full training run as well. They've had improvements, but they haven't done what Google just did. And Google did it all based on their new chipsets. Again, not for sale, but for lease. Maybe at some point they will be, but they have the entire structure and they're owning it. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens here in the future if that's going to keep going. Also, the other thing that people are talking about is the scalability, the large sizes of these data centers. Is that going to be enough? If we just put more compute, are we going to see those big revelations that come about with AI going to AGI and ASI? And in fact, do we even want to go there? But first and foremost, I think we should start maybe pulling back a little bit and looking at safety. In addition, the narrowly aligned models, the ones that have been sent out with all the information on, let's say, cancer research or solving the common cold or making the world a safer place or increasing each person's longevity, or maybe, making us money in the stock market, those type of models, those narrow models, I think that would be just a wonderful place if everybody had access to that first and foremost. And of course, you can start building these things, but what we're seeing on the street probably isn't the same thing that they're building out and the super elites have access to. That might change. You do have the open models out there, which seem to be kind of stressing the people, the pay for play type models, stressing those folks out a little bit because, of course, it's a free architecture game. And I'm wondering if we're going to see anything popping out from DeepSeek via China, because that model did raise a lot of eyebrows and cause a lot of stress when they first came out, because they took something and they made it better. They reframed it and made it function better with less. And I guess that's the price you pay when you hold back the best chips from another country that has some very smart engineers and scientists. And in fact, if you look at the way the structure is, whether you agree with it or not, out here we worship the movie stars, thank God for them, right? But in China, they worship the scientists, thank God for them. Not sure who's going to end that battle, but pretty soon we're going to be able to make our own TV shows. Let me know what you think. And I'm Connor with Honor. We'll see you in the next one.